Welcome to the Highly Sensitive Podcast. I'm Lauren LaSalle, and I'm a licensed therapist, highly sensitive person, and HSP coach. This bi-weekly podcast is meant for highly sensitive people and their loved ones, as both experiences will be discussed. Thank you for joining me, and let's begin. Welcome to the Highly Sensitive Podcast. I'm Lauren, and today I just wanted to do a quick episode about overstimulation. So the dictionary says, overstimulation occurs when there is too much of some external stimulus or stimuli for a person's brain to process and integrate effectively. This leads to an unpleasant sensation of being flooded and an impulse to escape the stimulus, or, failing that, to cry or scream or thrash about. So I have definitely done my fair share of crying and screaming and thrashing about when overstimulated, especially as a child, because I wasn't aware that I was feeling overstimulated, and I don't think my parents were aware of that either. So that definitely led to some issues, a lot of feelings coming from me, my parents probably feeling frustrated and confused. And of course, overstimulation is something that continues throughout your life as a highly sensitive person. It's just about finding ways to deal with that when it does happen. And for highly sensitive people, there are many normal things that we can find overstimulating due to difficulty coping with certain sensory experiences. A few of these that I personally have issues with, and I'm sure others do as well, are certain fabrics and how clothing feels on my body, tags in clothing, bras with clasps, especially in the back, lighting that is too dark or too bright, loud and crowded environments, especially if I'm in that type of environment for an extended period of time, wearing certain types of jewelry, specifically bracelets and sometimes necklaces. I just don't like how they feel on my body. Certain sounds, such as someone chewing loudly, and I'm sure the list goes on, but that's all that comes to my mind at the moment, which is definitely more than enough to try to deal with on an almost daily basis. So some ways that you can cope with physical sensitivities and sensory overload are to plan ahead. So figure out what you might need to make yourself more comfortable depending on the type of situation that you're going to be in. So for example, bringing headphones with you, making sure you have a certain type of clothing or a change of clothes, especially if maybe you might get wet. I know as a kid, I really hated, and I still don't like this, the feeling of wet clothing, and especially as a child, having sand stuck to my bathing suit or inside of my bathing suit was really uncomfortable. So planning ahead for things like that, or for your child if they're highly sensitive and you know that these types of things bother them. Making sure you bring sunglasses if you know there's going to be bright sun, things like that. So thinking ahead to what you might need to bring with you to make the situation the most comfortable it can be. So that brings me to make your environment as pleasant as possible. And this doesn't just mean when you're going out to do something, this means in your home, in your office, wherever you spend time and you can change things around and have control over that environment, making it as comfortable for you as you can. You can use mindfulness and grounding exercises if you need to. You can meditate, listen to something calming, just to ground yourself, calm your body. You can plan to go out, such as to the grocery store at off-peak hours to avoid large crowds. So I found that there's one grocery store near me that if I go there around lunchtime during the week, it's very empty, which can be really nice just to go in, get everything I need, and leave, and not have to deal with a crowd. You can even close your eyes or take a break if you need to, depending on what type of situation you're in, if you just need a minute to kind of calm yourself, ground yourself, relax yourself. And the last one is making time for unstructured alone time every day. And this one's very important, and it can, I think, address a lot of things that highly sensitive people deal with. So really making sure you schedule that into your day, making sure that you have a quiet space that you can go to where the people you live with know that this is the time that you need for yourself to decompress, to just be in quiet, or whatever you need to do for yourself. So I know this episode is super short, but I just wanted to touch on overstimulation a little bit because I know it can be a really big part of being an HSP. And if you have any ideas for episode topics, if you have any questions for me to answer on the podcast, or if you would like to write an email sharing your story for me to read on the podcast, you can email me at lauren@laurenlasallecoaching.com. You can find out more about my coaching program, as well as resources and links to my social media by visiting my website at laurenlasallecoaching.com. And there's also a section on my website to join my email list. And by doing that, you can receive a free resource from me called 5 Self-Care Tips for Highly Sensitive People. All right, see you next time.